the Bruce Lee demonstration. So Chuck was there, witnessing everything. He said that only Bruce Lee threw strikes. The guy up there, which was you, never got to throw strikes at Bruce.
Guy up there, which was you, never got to throw strikes at Bruce. In the world of martial arts, few names are as legendary as Bruce Lee. And few stories are as disputed as his brief encounter with Vic Moore. But a lot of people have a misconception. They only know Bruce Lee from the movies. Come in on me and score 3 or 4 punches to the chest there. He'd come in and try to score. I blocked it. He'd come in again. What started as a simple speed demonstration in 1967 became one of the most controversial moments in martial arts history. Over the years, rumors, interviews, and conflicting claims have clouded the truth. What really happened that day? And why does it still matter? Join us as we uncover the untold story of Bruce Lee and Vic Moore, and why it's worse than we thought. The rise of a dragon. When someone says Bruce Lee, today, what comes to mind first? Lightning-fast punches, that iconic yell, the legendary fight scenes, or maybe just the deep, fierce look in his eyes before launching into action? For most of us, Bruce Lee is the definition of martial arts. But have you ever wondered how it all began? What turned a small boy from Hong Kong into a global icon who changed martial arts forever? Bruce Lee was born in San Francisco on November 27, 1940, during his parents' visit to the U.S. His father, Lee Hoi-chen, was a famous Cantonese opera singer, and his mother, Grace Ho, came from a family with mixed roots, possibly Chinese, German, Dutch, and maybe even English. Because Bruce was born on American soil, he automatically became a U.S. citizen, a detail that would become very important later. Soon after his birth, the family returned to Hong Kong, unaware of the hard years ahead. Just months later, World War II hit the region when Japan invaded in 1941. Can you imagine being just a baby during a war, growing up in a city under occupation? It's hard to picture. Despite these tough early years, Bruce found himself in front of a movie camera before he could even talk. Thanks to his father's connections, he appeared in films as a child and was nicknamed Little Dragon, because he was born in the year and the hour of the dragon according to the Chinese zodiac. By age 18, he had acted in over 20 films. But fame didn't mean peace. Bruce was also fighting battles outside the movie sets. At home, his father struggled with addiction, and Bruce, always energetic and fiery, started getting into street fights. A turning point came when he joined a martial arts school and began training in Wing Chun under the legendary IP Man. But even that wasn't smooth. Many students didn't want to train with Bruce because of his mixed heritage. Still, he didn't give up. He trained privately and pushed himself harder than anyone else. His drive was unstoppable. By the time he was 18, he had won a school boxing championship and even mastered the cha-cha, winning a dance competition. Yes, Bruce Lee, dance champion. Imagine that. But his fighting spirit kept getting him into trouble. After one serious street fight, his parents realized that if they didn't act, their son might end up in jail or worse. So they made a life-changing decision. They sent him to the United States to start over. At just 18, Bruce arrived in San Francisco, then moved to Seattle, where he worked as a restaurant waiter while finishing high school. In Seattle, he began teaching martial arts, his own version of Wing Chun, which he called Jun Fan Gung Fu. He opened a small school and welcomed students from all backgrounds, something unusual at the time. Most Chinese martial artists didn't teach non-Chinese students. Bruce ignored those limits. Later, he moved to Oakland and opened another school with James Yim Lee. It was there, at a martial arts exhibition in 1964, that Bruce's famous one-inch punch stunned the world. That same event sparked his connection with Hollywood and would eventually lead him to become the global superstar we know today. Bruce Lee's unique martial arts style. So what exactly is Bruce Lee remembered for, besides his films and lightning-fast moves? To truly understand Bruce Lee, you have to look deeper, not just at his fights, but at his philosophy, his training, and how he changed martial arts forever. Because Bruce wasn't just a fighter or an actor. He was a thinker, a creator, a rebel. And the martial art he created, Jeet Kune Do, reflected exactly that. Bruce didn't believe in sticking to just one style. In fact, he openly criticized traditional martial arts for being too rigid and slow to evolve. He wanted a system that was fast, real, and practical in an actual fight, not just something that looked good in movies or followed ancient rules. That's why he created Jeet Kune Do, the way of the intercepting fist. It wasn't built around forms or katas. Instead, it focused on efficiency, strike fast, strike first, and the fight quickly. Bruce believed in using what worked and throwing away what didn't. He studied Wing Chun under Ip Man and took its close-range principles seriously. But he didn't stop there. He trained in boxing, judo, taekwondo, fencing, wrestling, arnis, and even Western fencing techniques. His goal: be ready for any opponent. In demonstrations, Bruce amazed crowds with techniques like the 1-inch punch and 2-finger push-ups. He could launch a powerful strike from almost no distance, sending a full-grown man backward with just 1 inch of movement. These weren't tricks. They were the result of years of training, experimenting, and understanding the human body. And Bruce didn't just hit fast, he thought fast. He was one of the first martial artists to deeply study human reaction time. He developed the Isio punch, a quick, non-telegraphed punch so fast most people couldn't block it in time. He believed that in a real fight, even half a second made all the difference. He was also a fan of the oblique kick, which he called the stop kick, a low defensive move that became popular decades later in MMA. He used it to stop an opponent before their attack even began. Combine that with side kicks, spinning heel kicks, sweeps, and footwork inspired by Muhammad Ali, and you see just how advanced Bruce Lee really was. But Bruce wasn't all about striking. He knew a real fight might end up on the ground, so he trained in grappling too. He learned judo throws, arm locks, and chokeholds from experts like Jean Labelle. And while he didn't love grappling for movies, it didn't look flashy enough. He made sure he could use it in real life. You can even spot grappling in his fight scenes in Enter the Dragon and Way of the Dragon. Bruce also believed that being a great fighter meant being in top shape. He trained like a professional athlete, strength training, cardio, stretching, and even exercises used by Indian wrestlers. He studied his diet carefully, avoided junk food, and made his own protein shakes. He saw his body as a machine and treated it like one. In everything he did, Bruce Lee broke the rules. He didn't care where a technique came from. If it worked, he used it. He blended science, philosophy, and fighting into something the world had never seen. His students included people from all walks of life: Hollywood actors, world-class athletes, martial arts champions. He didn't care about race, nationality, or background. He just wanted to pass on what he'd learned. Dan Inosanto, Chuck Norris, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Just a few names among many who were inspired and trained by him. And so Bruce Lee became more than a man. He became a movement. But with all this power, fame, and innovation, you must be wondering, what does Vic Moore have to do with all this? The story of Vic Moore. First, let's talk about Victor Moore, a man with a long and complex history in martial arts. Born on August 23, 1943, Vic Moore is one of the first African-American martial artists to rise to national fame in the United States. He holds a 10th degree black belt in karate and studied under some of the most influential instructors of his time, including Robert Trias, the father of American karate, and Mong Gyi, a master of bando and kickboxing. In the 1960s and 70s, Moore was a fierce competitor and a true pioneer. He wasn't just fighting to win trophies, he was breaking barriers. In 1965, he became one of the first African Americans to win a major karate championship, the USA Grand Nationals. That was a big moment in a time when martial arts, like many parts of society, were still closed off to people of color. Moore's journey didn't stop there. Over the years, he studied a wide variety of styles: Shuri-ryu, Kenpo, Goju-ryu, Chito-ryu, Bando, and even Thai boxing. He trained under multiple masters and built a career on both knowledge and raw skill. He traveled across the US, opened karate schools, trained students, gave seminars, and competed in every major tournament from coast to coast. His competition record is impressive. 1966, defeated the All-Hawaiian champion in Richmond, Virginia. 1968, beat Joe Louis at the World's Fair Karate Championships. 1969, claimed victory over Mike Stone in Pasadena for the light heavyweight title. 1970, defeated Bill "Superfoot" Wallace to win the USKA's first professional world championship. From 1965 to 1975, he placed in every tournament he entered. That's not just consistency, it's dominance. But Vic Moore wasn't only a fighter. He was a showman and a promoter. Along with Joe Louis, he helped introduce kickboxing to America. Their appearance on the Merv Griffin Show in 1973 marked the sport's first big moment on national TV. Moore later helped form the World Karate Association in 1974, further pushing the development of kickboxing and professional martial arts in the U.S. He also appeared in the martial arts film Black Karate alongside Robert Trias and Jim Kelly. His influence stretched beyond dojos and tournaments. He was shaping how martial arts were seen by the public. He even helped develop the first training manual for law enforcement, a project assigned by Robert Trias and created with Harold Long and Hewlin Willis. But despite all his achievements, Moore's legacy is often discussed with a twist. Many believe that by the late 1960s, Vic Moore had developed what some call a Bruce Lee complex. By 1967, this idea became more than just talk. It was visible in how Moore compared himself to Lee, spoke about him, and positioned himself in the spotlight. While Bruce Lee was becoming a global icon through innovation and philosophy, Moore seemed to want to remind the world that he too was a powerful name in martial arts. Some say it was envy. Others say it was simply pride. Either way, the tension between the two names was growing. Bruce Lee and Vic Moore at Long Beach. And then the two legends finally met. It was August 1967 in Long Beach, California, at one of the most important martial arts events in the world, the Long Beach International Karate Championships. This wasn't just any tournament, it was the tournament. A place where names like Chuck Norris, Joe Louis, Benny, the Jet, Urquidez, and Mike Stone stepped into the spotlight. But this year, something special was about to happen. A moment that would go down in martial arts history, though not for the reasons people expected. The man behind the event was Ed Parker, often called the father of American Kenpo Karate. Parker wasn't just organizing another contest. He was building a bridge between traditional martial arts and a new generation of fighters. His tournament had been running strong since 1964, bringing together martial artists from all over the world. Champions, students, teachers, and legends in the making. In 1964, Parker had introduced Bruce Lee to the American martial arts community with a jaw-dropping demonstration. Now, 3 years later, Bruce was back. More polished, more confident, and much more famous. Between his growing Hollywood reputation and his evolving martial arts philosophy, Lee was now a force to be reckoned with. Not just a performer, but a thinker, a revolutionary. The 1967 demonstration wasn't about winning medals. It wasn't a tournament fight. It was a showcase, a display of speed, skill, and control. Bruce Lee had been invited to show the world the principles of Jeet Kune Do, his new fighting style that broke away from traditional rules. His goal: prove that movement, speed, and efficiency could overpower rigid forms. And he did just that, with precision that left the audience stunned. The crowd watched in silence and awe as Bruce performed blindfolded chi-saw drills, perfectly reacting to his opponent's movements without sight. He followed that with several one-inch punches, explosive bursts of power from just a few centimeters away, sending volunteers stumbling backward. But the real highlight was yet to come. For the next part, Bruce faced off with one of the biggest names in karate at the time, Victor Moore. A respected fighter and champion, Moore had built a name with wins over top-level opponents. He wasn't just some random guest, he was a serious martial artist with a long list of titles. Bruce asked him to participate in a speed drill. The idea was simple. Bruce would stand in front of Vic and throw quick punches toward his face. Moore's job: block them if he could. Bruce would announce when he was going to strike. It wasn't about power or fighting. It was about reaction time, focus, and speed. From what most people saw, Bruce's punches were too fast to stop. Video footage shows him moving like lightning, his hand darting toward Vic's face again and again. Moore tries to block, but it's clear Bruce is either hitting the target or coming so close there's barely a difference. The demonstration wasn't meant to embarrass anyone. It was meant to highlight just how sharp Bruce's skills had become. There were no official winners or losers. No trophies. But for many in the audience, the outcome was clear. Bruce Lee was faster than anyone expected. Maybe even faster than most believed possible. Still, the story didn't end there. Vic Moore would later speak out about what really happened on that stage. And his version was very different from what people saw. Some believed him. Others didn't. But one thing was certain. The tension between Bruce Lee and Vic Moore didn't fade after that day. It only got stronger. Bruce Lee versus Vic Moore. The untold story. So here's the untold story, and it's worse than we thought, because Vic decided to create his own version in his head. What really happened at the 1967 Long Beach International Karate Championships was seen by many people, and some of it was even caught on camera. But decades later, what should have remained a respectful demonstration between two martial artists turned into one of the most debated moments in martial arts history, because Vic Moore kept insisting it all happened differently. As we mentioned, Bruce Lee would attempt to strike Vic Moore in the face with a straight punch. Moore's task, block it. That's it. It wasn't a match. It wasn't a contest to declare a winner. It was a test of speed and reaction, and a chance to display Bruce's famous non-telegraphic movement, a core part of his style. What happened next is clear in the video footage. Lee backs away, asks Moore if he's ready, then glides forward and launches his punch. Precise. Controlled. He stops his hand just short of Moore's face. He does this 8 times. Each time, Lee moves with surgical speed. Each time, Moore fails to block the strike. It was fast, almost too fast for the eye to follow. The crowd responded with shock and applause. Bruce's technique had delivered on its promise. But then came the controversy. Years later, Vic Moore began sharing a very different version of events, one that didn't match what witnesses recalled or what the footage showed. In several interviews, Moore claimed he blocked Bruce's punches, not just 1 or 2, but all of them. After Bruce's failed attempts, he turned the tables and struck Bruce twice in the chest. According to Moore, Bruce didn't see it coming. Bruce Lee himself told him he was the fastest American he had ever seen. Bruce acknowledged Moore's skill and even admired it. Moore's traditional Shuri-Ryu karate and the techniques of national black belt champions were superior to Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do. He painted the picture of a humble, slightly embarrassed Bruce Lee who had just been outshined. To many, this was more than just a proud fighter recalling old glories. It was a rewriting of history. Grandmaster Chuck Sullivan, who witnessed the event firsthand, strongly denied Moore's claims. In a now famous video interview, Sullivan clearly stated, Vic Moore did not block Bruce's punches, and there was never any moment where Moore landed hits on Bruce. During that interview, the host of the Viking Samurai YouTube channel called Moore live on air to confront him with Sullivan's testimony. Moore didn't back down. He repeated his version with confidence, and even added more drama, claiming that Bruce Lee cried afterward because he couldn't stop Moore's strikes. A claim that no one else present supports, and that many believe crosses the line from pride to fiction. Why would Moore say this? Maybe he truly believed it. Maybe over time, the memory twisted into something more flattering. Or maybe, as some suggest, Vic Moore had developed a Bruce Lee complex, a deep frustration with Bruce's lasting fame and his place as the face of martial arts worldwide. After all, Moore was a real tournament fighter with a proven record in the ring. Bruce, in contrast, had never fought in the US tournament circuit. He became a star through movies and philosophy. That difference, fame earned in the spotlight versus the dojo, might have left Moore feeling overlooked. But what's clear is this. The 1967 video doesn't lie. It shows Bruce Lee moving with speed and grace that's hard to match. It shows Vic Moore unable to block the punches. It shows the crowd reacting to something they knew was special. That moment could have been remembered as a respectful meeting between two skilled martial artists. Instead, it became a symbol of controversy, pride, and disagreement. The silence that followed Bruce Lee. We'll probably never know why Vic still insists in interviews that he was better than Bruce Lee, and tries to make himself stand out, even decades after that brief demonstration in 1967. Some believe that Bruce's sudden death gave space for others to create their own stories, unchallenged and uncorrected. With Bruce no longer around to speak for himself, the narrative was left wide open. Over time, myths grow, memories shift, and pride sometimes takes over the facts. But let's not forget how Bruce Lee left us. On July 20th, 1973, Bruce Lee was in Hong Kong preparing for another film with actor George Lazenby. Earlier that day, he had been working with producer Raymond Chow on the script for Game of Death. Later, he visited the home of actress Betty Ting Pei, where he took a nap and never woke up. He was just 32 years old. Doctors said it was cerebral edema, swelling in the brain. It had happened once before, months earlier, but this time they couldn't save him. He was declared dead on arrival at Queen Elizabeth Hospital. The world was stunned. Bruce was buried in Seattle beside his son Brandon. His funeral was attended by Hollywood stars and close martial arts friends like Steve McQueen, James Coburn, and Dan Inosanto. After his death, unfinished projects like Game of Death were pieced together with stand-ins, archive footage, and new actors. It wasn't the same, but people still watched for just one more glimpse of the man they admired. His legend only grew after his passing. Movies, books, documentaries, and even a TV series created by his daughter carried on his spirit. But with Bruce gone, no one could truly defend his legacy in person. Maybe that's why Vic Moore's story survived for so long, because the one man who could have answered back wasn't there anymore. Have you seen the footage of Bruce Lee's 1967 speed demonstration with Vic Moore? What did you notice? Let us know in the comments and subscribe to our channel for more.